Welcome to the Creative Condition podcast with me, Ben Tallon, illustrator and creativity coach, founder of the Creative Condition, artist and writer. I bring 20 years of creative industry experience and a lifelong love of creativity, a fundamental pillar of human happiness, to you through ongoing personal exploration and the shared experiences of others. You'll get a nourishing mix of creative industry professionals and people far and wide using creativity in ways that can take our learning to the next level so we can maximise our unique blend. The show's been supported from day one by Illustration X, a tremendous illustration agency representing a shining global roster of illustrators and animators over at illustrationx.com. The music for the show is by Dirty Freud, who you can listen to now on all good streaming services. And for everything else, for my coaching, resources and inspiration, head to thecreativecondition.com. Morning guys, how you doing? I'm here for another brain dump with a brew. So get your kettle on, pause it if you need to, get your own cup on the go, and let's have a chat. I'm jumping on this morning because, this is the Creative Condition. I am Ben Tallon, the host. This is a podcast about creativity, and I like to have a brew and share my thoughts on some episodes. Nice little bite-sized ones. There you go. There's the intro. I've been on the dog walk this morning. Sun's out. It's lovely and warm. Got my brew. And I just wanted to share I had an interesting chat. So my friend Caroline, you might have heard her on the show a few episodes ago, Caroline Christie. She's a content designer, does a lot of interesting work with different companies. And we had a chat and she asked me how things were going with my work. And I told her things are much better this year, which they have been so far. Started off slightly wobbly, came in from Christmas with... I was in flux. I was all over the show. It was a case of, you love everything you're doing. It's worth doing all the things you're doing, but find some effing order, because I was overwhelmed. I was juggling too much. There was no order to it. There's no method. There's no rota to my week. I was just bombarded. And the nature of my different roles, writer, coach, founder of Creative Condition, illustrator and artist, in a nutshell. The nature of all those roles is that there are a lot of small tasks and a number of big tasks within each of those roles. And if you don't find some order in that, it can completely overwhelm you. But I got thinking, what was at the bottom of my answer that things were much better this year? Because financially, things have been better, not amazing. Some months I'm still not hitting my minimum. I'm having to rely on better months down the line. Evening things out, I'm still not in a place where I'd like to be, where I'm hitting my minimum each month consistently, no matter whether there's big jobs or not. However, and I mentioned this to you the other day, creative self-efficacy is the biggest driver in the changes I've seen for the better this year. So what has improved this year? So I'm now in a position where I've launched my coaching model through the Creative Condition. You'll be well aware because I talk about it now most episodes. I do pit stops, which is a one-to-one intensive audit of a person's foundational creativity. I do this within agencies for individual staff members so they can feed it down to their staff. I do it for freelancers. I do it for people who maybe just aren't getting started in what they want to do and they need some direction. They need to find a way to tie together their personality, their lived experience, and the work they would like to do in a way that they can point that front-facing to create and manifest that work. That's that in a nutshell. I've been getting bookings semi-regularly for that. I've hit my target most months of 2 pit stops a month. I've been doing bits with agencies too, so that's very exciting. I'm doing stuff with DNAD. What that means is I've got a little more self-belief. But self-belief and creative self-efficacy are different things, even though there are overlaps. Creative self-efficacy is the kind of foundational belief that you can be creative, that you are creative, and that no matter on a project arc, that you inevitably will feel frustration, you will feel intimidation at the start of a project, you will feel imposter syndrome, but the creative self-efficacy will rise throughout the arc of a project. That's scientifically proven. But at the core of all of that, I have a great belief in my ability to be creative, to work things out, to bring the goods to any given project that is put in front of me that falls within my circle of confidence and my circle of competence. That's the difference this year. I have not been giving myself targets of email 500 people a day to find work. I'm not out there to find work. I want work, but I am out there behaving as my inner artist. I'm telling people what I'm passionate about. I'm having conversations. I'm being organised on that front. I am having meetings. I'm having coffees. But it's not to find work. It is to align with people who fit well with what I'm doing. And do you know what? Work's coming because I'm out there representing myself with confidence and faith and creative self-efficacy. Now, I'll give you an example. I am about to start work on my second biography. You'll remember that I did the Hector Ayuso biography, The Reason You're Doing It, which we launched at Paradiso last year. Now, myself and the guys at Paradiso are having a conversation about potentially doing another one. How does that come about for a person that's never written a biography? Well, I believe in my coaching. I believe in the foundational skills that make me a coach. I like to think a good coach: empathy, sensitivity, understanding of the human condition, and ability to write, because after my pit stops, I write up what is sometimes 20 pages of written notes and directions and suggestions and exercises to get a person moving with tangible, actionable advice. All of this pulls in all of the skills that I do. There is artistry, there is human understanding, there is listening. You'll remember the episode on this podcast with Rageshri Deriyawan a few episodes ago, who is a HIV and sexual health doctor and consultant and an author of Unheard, the medical practice of silencing. We talked in depth about deep listening. All of that stuff that I do in my coaching enables me to apply the same process, spend X amount of hours hearing a person's life story, then use my creativity to retell that story in an interesting and different, non-traditional biographical fashion. All of that lives and dies on my creative self-efficacy. There was no track record to me writing a biography. However, I had the trust from Hector Ayuso. I jumped in the deep end. I believed that I was passionate enough about Hector's stories, and I had the creative self-efficacy to find the solution and to do it in a way that was right for me, right for Hector, and would make for a very interesting, different biography. I've also taken that kind of, we'll work it out, I'm good at this, it's fine approach with my coaching. It has been fine, it's been more than fine. Illustration, I have much more of a track record, so my creative self-efficacy there is strong, probably like 99%, because I get the blank page thing at the start of a new project, but I know I'm going to do it, I know I'm going to be fine. Again, scientifically proven. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be the greatest director on the planet. When you get a new script and you start on a new film, that is when your creative self-efficacy is at its lowest at the start of a project. But your track record, your overriding, your underlying creative self-efficacy tells you it will be fine because it's been fine every other time. And why would it not be this time? You just have to embrace the process and see all of that early failure and intimidation as a part of the creative process. That is what stops people who don't practice creativity on a daily or a regular basis from believing that they cannot be creative. Interesting stuff. That's it. That's what I wanted to jump on and say. That has been the big difference for the shift from what was a very fearful year last year when my creative self-efficacy was damaged because of my financial situation, financial pressure, lack of workflow. I believe the industry was on its knees. I fell into the trap of going, oh my God, AI is killing everything and shit, the global economy, what am I going to do? I don't have any other skills. I got into this real fearful mindset where I was eating myself, and I got really down on it for a while, and it affected my workflow. The difference this year, and here's another example before I sign off from this brew, is this, right? I was out in the local park the other day. Sorry, I was a noisy swig of coffee. It's a bit rude, that, isn't it? And I loved the wildflower patches that had been left in the parks. But I also felt it wasn't enough. There was too much tidying going on. There was no need to mow the banks. There was no need to mow anything other than a walkway for the dog walkers. The rest of it, we're in a biodiversity crisis. Let it wild. We need it. Slightly irked by this, I got on the council website because I had a spare 15 minutes that evening. I was on my computer. Found a link, emailed the council, said, thank you for leaving the wildflower patches. It's really important. We're in a biodiversity crisis. However, here's what I believe it should be more, and here's why. Father of 2 kids, I'm always picking up litter, I'm engaged in my environment, I see it, I see the opportunity for Salisbury to be a beacon of biodiversity and rewilding. But it wasn't an angry email, I wasn't criticising them, I was suggesting that there could be more done here, but thank you for doing what you have done already, it's amazing. And here's what I do. I'm an illustrator. I'm a writer. I do all these things. I care passionately about this. I'd love to have a conversation with you sometime about that. Next morning, I get an email coming for a meeting. Love that. You just don't know. I didn't know that opportunity was going to come. I was just being passionate about something I cared about in my local environment. I was engaged with. I was being curious. Why have you left the wildflower patches but not more? What could we do about this? Curiosity is something you absolutely have to foster as a person who is looking to transform their creativity into commercial viability. That curiosity will lead you to well-aligned opportunities that fit within the remit of you as an individual that suit your personal brand. There's an example. Hope the meeting goes well. It might lead to nothing, but I'm going to go in there. I'm going to tell them how I feel. I'm going to show them my work. I'm going to ask a lot of questions about what they're up to, see where there might be opportunities for me to pitch a cool project, make myself some money to pay my mortgage, help the environment, help the local council. You just don't know. My entire career has been built on that. The difference is last year, I doubted it. I saw it ass backwards. I thought, oh my God, it all just feels so unlikely and unpredictable. How is this going to turn around? This year, don't know how it's going to turn around. Not much has changed, but I'm feeling good and I'm going to go out, I'm going to find out, I'm going to make it happen. That's what's been happening. That's the difference. That's why things have been better so far this year. Hope there's some use in that. This has been a lovely brew. Nice one, guys. Hope you've enjoyed yours. Let's chat again soon. Big guest episode coming next week. Keep your eyes peeled for that. I also just dropped a diary episode this week that might be worth listening. If you do like the show, please tell a friend. It helps a lot. Rate, review, and subscribe. That really helps the show too. Get in touch if you want something more intense, more personal. Let's work together. Let's do a pit stop. Let's do an audit of your foundational creativity and see how I can help get you back on the right path, get the rocket strapped to you. And if you're in an agency and you're listening, you want me to come and do a workshop, come and do the Creative Condition talk, trust me, it will change your whole perception on creativity and get people way more aligned with theirs. Would love to discuss. You can do all that at thecreativecondition.com. Nice one, guys. Have a great day. Catch you in a bit.